If you only watch the mainstream media, you would think that the Annunciation Catholic Church shooter was in love with President Trump. And that's right, the mainstream media would have you believe that he was inspired by Trump to do this horrific act. Over on ABC, they were caught in a lie of omission. See if you can spot it.
3-year-old Robin Westman was able to leave what police called a video manifesto that they're now going through to try and establish motive. We've also been going through it and can tell you there are crude diagrams of the church. There are also photos of the weapons, and they include all sorts of writings, the names of past mass shooters, criticism of Israel, the name of President Trump written on the guns. There are also racial slurs, nihilistic statements, all painting the picture of a disturbed individual who carried out this mass shooting on the first week of school at the Annunciation Church in Minneapolis.
Just absolutely disgusting. They left out the context, which is, yes, Trump's name was on the gun, but the shooter wrote, "Kill Trump now." It's not like the other names that were on the gun. Right here, you see the name McVeigh, an obvious reference to Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber. There were other mass shooters on the gun as well. And the reason he wrote their names on there was because, as you can tell in the manifesto, he looked up to them. This shooter had a deranged obsession with mass shooters. In fact, almost worshipped them and wanted to be like them. Now, if you only watched the ABC, if you only watched the mainstream media, you would think, oh, Trump's name is on there because he likes them. He likes Trump just like he likes McVeigh. He likes Trump just like he looks up to the other mass shooters. But of course, the context is completely different. When most people think of media bias, they think that the media just lies and they distort the facts. Well, sometimes lies happen in omission, and that's exactly what happened here. And what is sick about this is they showed the picture of the guy, and the media and the Democrats have been pushing the narrative for years, right? That mass shooters are always lone, white, straight males. So they put up his picture on there for all to see, and then they just leave out the fact that the gun said, "Kill Trump now," and just say, oh, Trump's name is on there. So it definitely spins and creates this image. Now, despite the fact that we have images of the gun, despite the fact that we have video evidence of the manifesto, over on CNN, yes, it's not just ABC News, over on CNN, they're saying that it's too soon to know whether or not he had a motive. And in fact, we may never find out what the motive was. Take a look.
Going through the writings, particularly going through the videos as he, the shooter, laid out his weapons and held up each individual parts, what you saw there was a pervasive message of hate. Hate against blacks, hate against Jews, hate against God, and the target, of course, being a Catholic church. But there's also a degree of posturing there about what we're going to investigate it as. They're investigating it in support of the Minneapolis police who have a homicide case. The offender is dead. It is doubtful that anyone other than the offender, unless we learn something very new in the next couple of days, is going to be charged. I almost find the conclusion that it's a hate crime against Catholics premature, in that we are trying to attach rational motives to a completely irrational act.
Absolutely. Where is the political ideology here, right? This is someone who actually attended that school at some point, so we may assume, I'm not sure, that this person is Catholic also. But what we're looking at here is there any rationality to what this person does? This is what we see with terrorism, right? You want to terrorize a particular society with whatever your ideas are to push that idea. This is a person who we've seen with other shooters will most likely be someone with extreme mental illness.
Yeah, and actually, you know, one of the perplexing things about these perpetrators is that they do often have.
What a sick idea that we can't even consider this a hate crime against Catholics. I guarantee you, had someone else shot up a gay club, immediately the media and the Democrats would be talking about how it's a hate crime against the LGBTQ community. If this happened against a mosque, I guarantee we'd hear outcries about hate against Muslims. If this happened at a synagogue, we'd be hearing about how people hate the Jews and anti-Semitism. But for whatever reason, whenever it's a church, and in this case, obviously a Catholic church, It's just, oh, Christians, they like to play the victim, but no one's out to get them. And there is very clearly a double standard here. Now, because apparently the media can't do their job, I would like to reevaluate part of what was in that manifesto, because you can clearly come to a conclusion here. Now, obviously, I'm not the police. They'll come up with their own conclusion. The FBI, by the way, Kash Patel and Caroline Levitt have both confirmed that this is being investigated as an act of terror, as a hate crime against Catholics. So at least that investigation is going on. But while we're waiting for those official results, I think it's very obvious to anyone with an open mind, anyone with critical thinking skills, what this guy was thinking here. So from the New York Post, the deranged gunman mused about assassinating President Trump and Jews, but ultimately decided that killing, quote, children of innocent civilians would bring him, quote, the most joy. He also wrote, for good would be a target or political or societal significance. Targets like Musk, Trump, or some significant executive. I can't really put my finger on a specific purpose. It definitely won't be for racism or white supremacy. He also wrote, while I don't really like being around people of color, I don't give enough of a blank about them to take my life for them. He also wrote, I don't want to do it to spread a message. I do it to please myself. I do it because I'm sick. I don't think I could just take myself out, referring obviously to suicide. I would need to do something with my final act. So he definitely wanted to make a statement, though. In that original one, he's talking about the broader purpose, and he's talking about what brings him the most joy. You combine that with his political statements. You combine that with his mockery of God on the gun in his writings. On the gun itself, or excuse me, on one of the magazines, he wrote, "Where is your God now?" I mean, this guy was sick. So the fact that he openly said in his manifesto that he wanted to kill children, the fact that he was very anti-religious, anti-God, the fact that his own mother worked at this Catholic church, this Catholic school, I think it's very clear that you can draw the lines as to what his motivations were. In other words, just because he might not have had a specific purpose, like terrorizing Catholics nationwide or sending an anti-Catholic or an anti-Christian message, he did, in his own words, have a selfish motivation to bring himself pleasure. That itself is a motivation. Well, it's not just that the media is confused over. They are also confused over his gender identity. That's right. In the aftermath of the shooting, 2 children left dead, 17 others injured, many in the hospital, fighting for their lives. The media is worried about, is it a he or is it a her? We'll never know.
Other piece of the puzzle as to who the shooter was. The Minneapolis Star-Tribune says, according to court records, because there's been some confusion about what the shooter's name was.
Yes.
Robin Westman's mother applied to change her child's name in 2019. It was at one point Robert Paul Westman.
Correct.
But since she identifies as a female and wants her name to reflect that identification, was underage, it's now Robin West.
But it gets even worse than that, because it's not just the mainstream media, it's our leadership. The mayor of Minneapolis himself said that now is the time to stand up for the trans community. He defended that on CNN, and he actually, in his original statements, did not say now's the time to stand up for the Catholic community. He didn't say now is the time to stand up for the Christian community. It was all about protecting the trans community. But before we get to that, I would like to acknowledge I Love It home staging Dan Dupree, Throwback Sports Videos, Glenn Kenny, and Matt HTX as the members of today's Governor's Club. These are people who give tips and super thanks to the channel. I am so appreciative. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that you enjoy. Now, to be very fair, before I show this clip, he does end up saying, oh, we need to stand up for a Catholic community, but to me, it sounds like an afterthought. It sounds like a throwaway line. See if you agree.
When you talk about compassion, I don't want to tiptoe around the edge of this, but, you know, the shooter's name was in question, the gender of the shooter. No one's really sure what's going on there. 5 years ago, it was Robert, then a name changed to Robin. Okay. This is being seized in all corners, as you can imagine, in all sorts of ways. And you know that, Mayor, and perhaps that's why when you spoke about this so profoundly and powerfully as you are even here now, but when you spoke about this today publicly, you voiced concern for the transgender community, for the community overall. And obviously, you chose to do that in that moment because you thought it was important. And I wanted to give you a chance to say why you felt it was important to do that in that moment.
Obviously, I've heard about the rhetoric and the narrative that is being pushed out, but here's the thing. Anybody that is going to use this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any community has lost touch with a common humanity. We got to be operating not out of hate for any group, but out of a love for our children. That's where the focus needs to be right now. A love for our kids. Seeing these kids, not just as somebody else's kids, this horrific thing happened, but what if it was our own? How would we feel then? So, look, we need to be standing up for every community out there. A Catholic community, too, by the way. I mean, any community that suffers this kind of blow, our Minneapolis community, you got to stand up for them. But, you know, I feel oftentimes in these instances there's this desire to villainize a group. You want to call this an act of cowardice? Do it, because it is. But regardless of what group or background, gender, you know, the bottom line is that kids got killed. Let's love each other more. Let's love each other more, because the antidote to hate is not more hate. Hurt people, and the antidote to hate is a whole lot more love. That's where we all need to be going right now.
Well, Mayor Frey, I'm grateful.
I don't know about you, but I have not seen anyone trying to villainize the trans community. In fact, I haven't seen any talk of discrimination or trying to take away their rights or anything like that. It seems like he's making a straw man argument here. Now, I have seen people theorizing about what is causing this, right? Is it the medications? Is it when you start messing around with people's hormones? Does this cause it? And that right there, that's not hatred. That's not villainizing a community. When you're trying to find the cause of a problem, let's go backwards in time a few years, maybe a decade or more, when people started investigating video games, right? Is it video games that's causing this rise in violence? No Democrats, no one in the media said, oh, they're targeting gamers. Or when people blamed violent movies, no one said, oh, they're targeting people who watch movies in the theater. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. It is the height of hypocrisy, too, to say, oh, you're villainizing a community when no one's villainizing, when your side for the last decade has been saying it is lone, straight white men who are behind this gun violence epidemic. We all remember that. We're all old enough to remember when the left did this for years, after every single mass shooting. So I think those words ring hollow, and it just shows even more political posturing. As always, though, all of this is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So, what do you think about that ABC News report? Do you agree with my take that ABC left out the context? That, yes, President Trump's name was on the gun, but they left out the part that it said, kill Trump now, and they spun it to make it sound like the gunman was somehow pro-Trump and inspired by Trump? Or do you think that I'm reading too much into that and that there was no negligence, no foul intentions there? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.